Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session that will be not a television series, not a movie, but a project of three movies, a project of three documentary films. Uh, First of all, the films in the Transgang Project are very important. Are not just an illustration of the outcomes of the research, but from the beginning were planned as a complementary tool to understand what gangs and mediations are in the three regions of our project, that is Southern Europe, Northern Africa, and the Americas. We were inspired by several experiences of research action in which the visual culture and documentary films are used. Some experience positive of interaction, and other experience not so much positive, in which the language and the content was very different and were not interactions between the two languages, the language of research, of ethnography, and the language of film. In this case, also there is a long tradition of representing gangs in cinema, not to talk with West Side Story, for instance, that this year will be a new version of West Side Story, the classical film battle between the Sharks and the other group, I didn't remember the name, in New York, in Harlem. Also Los Olvidados by Luis Buñuel, until Ya no estoy aquí, the last film in Mexico about Mexican street groups in northern Mexico. Also the television series like The Wire in Baltimore, representing the gangs in Baltimore, Peaky Blinders, The Sopranos, or Gangs of London, are also different attempts to represent gangs through fiction. In this case, we don't use exactly the fiction. We are willing to experimental documentary films on mixing in some ways the research, the ethnography, the reality, but also including some aspect of fiction, of imagination, of experimentation. For this, the three filmmakers chosen after a competition. We are very proud to collaborate with Andres Duque, with Youssef Chevy, and with Marcela Zamora. Each one of them are now working on their projects, except Youssef that for the COVID-19 will film in the next month, but the other two, the film by Marcela Zamora, that unfortunately today is not, she won't be present. She has documented the experience of girls belonging to the Maras in prison and their experience of affronting this situation. The film by Andres Duque in Barcelona, he will explain what he is doing about his project. And finally, the film by Youssef Chevy in Tunis, and maybe also in Marseille, where he comes from, about the young people with North African roots. So I won't talk more. It's the time to Margot to present the three filmmakers that we hope in 1 year or 2 years we will present the final outcome of their work, and who knows, we can go to the Oscars or to the European awards. We will attempt to, the aim of this project is to introduce new ways of representation of the street youth groups that could be used for a challenge, for a new panorama, new interpretations of what gangs are and what gangs could be in the next future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos, for this introduction. I believe it was a good way to dive into our project. I will now try to share my screen if I manage. Let's see. Let's try. I think you're seeing it. Okay, that's right. Okay. So yes. So I'm Margot Mecca. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the Transgang Project, and I'm the person in charge of this bridge between documentary cinema and ethnographic research that we are trying to develop inside the Transgang Project. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here, for taking part into this seminar that is especially important for me. And I'm really glad that at least 2 of our 3 directors made it to be here and to share their experiences and the work they are doing. I'm sure it will be super interesting. And I also want to especially thank Ola González Abrisqueta, the discussant of the debate, because her work was a real inspiration for me and for the project. And so it's really good to have the opportunity to meet with her and to hear her feedback also. So when ethnography meets cinema, it's a dangerous encounter. As you know, there is a long story of relationship between anthropology and cinema, especially documentary cinema. According to many scholars, these 2 fields share the same cultural and colonial roots in the desire to symbolically explore the exotic world of otherness, of alterity, and these common roots are in many ways reflected along the stories of these 2 fields. A story that is full of exchanges, relationships, encounters, methods that pass from one field to another, practices, but also problems and critiques, and these encounter between the two fields, the field of cinema and anthropology, has not always been easy, but as also Carlos mentioned. But I think that the dialogue between these two ways of looking at the world can be really enriching for our research project. Especially because in the last decades, we have seen a major change in technology, in audiovisual technology, and the availability of cheaper and easier devices for recording images and sounds, but also for editing, really opened new possibilities for research and also for documentary practice. According to Grau Rebollo, we can identify 2 main trends in the field of visual anthropology. One is visual anthropology in the sense of the anthropological study and analysis of audiovisual products, and the other trend is what he calls audiovisual anthropology, that is to say, the implementation of audiovisual tools in anthropological research and dissemination. The Transgang Project decided to explore both of these trends, and there is a team that is actually working on the analysis of youth street groups and gang representations in audiovisual products. But our focus today is how we can work in the trend of audiovisual anthropology, establishing a dialogue between cinema and filmmakers. As you know, the Transgang Project is located in 3 main regions: Southern Europe, Northern Africa, and the Americas. And we decided to include cinema among the resources put in place to understand in a deeper and more complex way youth street groups and gangs in their transnational practices. These translated into the production of 3 documentary films, one for each geographical regions, and 3 documentary films directed by high-profile directors selected through international calls, but also through the organization of participatory cinematic workshops with research participants in the main research locations. And these participatory workshops are considered part of the ethnographic fieldwork. Then I will update you about how the pandemic changed our plans, but we will see it later. So the choice to include cinema in this research project responded to 4 main aims. First, the desire to construct counter-hegemonic representations of youth street groups that are today mostly stigmatized by the media, that offer usually a really flat and objectifying vision of youth street groups, in most cases related to a criminality discourse that tries to stigmatize this group. And so we felt the impulse, the need to work on the construction of alternative representations. But another aim of our choice was to try to meet young people's interest, as audiovisual language is part of their daily life through social networks and other forms of expression. And also we thought that cinema could be a way to improve their participation and their engagement in something that was important for them, something that matters for them. Then we also considered the possibilities offered by cinematic language in terms of complexity of knowledge as a way to integrate our more traditional ethnographic methods with other resources to access the complexity and the challenges that we face when we study youth street groups. And as the 4th and final point, the idea was to try and reach a wider audience, going beyond the academic domain and talk to the general public, to society, and engage them in the debate about youth street group in a more how can I say, in a more engaging way. But also when we decide to establish this bridge, this collaboration between cinema and ethnography, we face many challenges, as González Abrisqueta mentioned in one of her publications. One of them is the lack of quality criteria for cinematic production in anthropology, because in many cases when we see productions, the cinematic production from the academia, we see that these productions respond mainly to scientific criteria, but do not have the same standards of quality regarding cinematic aspects. So one of our main challenges is to be rigorous, really rigorous and demanding regarding the creative and technical aspects of the film, because our aim is to not just to illustrate our research, but to engage with complex artistic and cinematic practices. And that's why we decided to work with directors that have their own vision, their own voice, and their own cinematic practice. Then another challenge we face is the lack of awareness in academia regarding cinematic and documentary language, because from many don't have specific training there is a sort of mistrust towards artistic practice. So what we have been doing in the Transgang Project was to try to educate the way of looking at cinema of the research team. During the lockdown last year, I was sharing every week one film, but also essay film, in order to improve our reading of audiovisual products in a critical and demanding. This lack of awareness, we also have to force ourselves to evaluate cinematic production according to its own criteria and try not to bend cinematic language to academic purposes. And this relates to the third point, the challenge of the temptation to be pedagogical, to use audiovisual production to show, to present, to explain ethnographic knowledge. It's something that it's a really delicate balance between the cinematic aspects and this pedagogical impulse, but I believe that it is important to recognize and preserve the diversity and the autonomy of languages between ethnography and cinema, so we can have a dialogue in which the two parts are equally acknowledged and valued, so they can enrich each other and not jeopardize the results of the one or the other. And the fourth aspect is the lack of acknowledgement of ethnographic cinema by the academia. This is a really huge issue. We cannot solve this problem, but what we can try to do is to promote this recognition of cinematic language as enriching for anthropological knowledge in terms of movement, empathy, complexity of experience, etc. Now there are new journals that are being founded that accept films as research outputs. So we will try to work in this direction to acknowledge the contribution of cinema to ethnography. So once we face these challenges and try to respond to them, we also propose some main concepts and criteria to orient our work. First, the desire to go beyond this opposition between art and science that comes from this mistrust in the artistic practice, seen in many cases from scientists' point of view as a merely aesthetic practice without any cognitive value. We want to defend the knowledge produced by artistic practices and also its potential as a catalyst for ethnographic research. Because as we have seen in these first months of fieldwork, artistic practice can really open some interesting and unexpected doors to ethnographic research. Then another key point is the importance of participation, intended as the acknowledgement of participants' active and creative role in both in the production of a cinematic discourse, but also in the production of ethnographic knowledge. And we really understand participation as something that is based on a shared project, that is something that matters not only for researchers, but also for research participants. So it's important for us to engage them in something that is meaningful for all of the people involved. And the third point is empathy. The importance of empathy as the basis for this production of knowledge, and we consider that empathy can be constructed around this shared, creative, cinematic, and affective experience that involves researchers, participants, and filmmakers. And we believe that in this triangulation based on empathy, we can really develop something new as something that is valuable for all the people involved. And finally, another reference that has been important for us was some principles proposed by Alexandra Darcy after her fieldwork experience in audiovisual participatory projects. And these are about 4 points. The first is to understand the use of audiovisual methods as a co-creation process in which the participants are co-creators together with professional filmmakers. Second, the importance of organizing long-term activities in order to establish a relationship of trust between all the people involved, but also to improve the control over the technique and to have the time to go deeper into this reflection and this shared discussion about what we are doing and what we want to achieve. The third point is the importance of the artistic quality of the finished work as a key point, as a key aspect, not only from the point of view of dissemination, but especially from the point of view of ethics, because we, following Alexandra Darcy, we believe that the artistic quality of the finished piece is also a form of acknowledging the talents that were involved in the process and to value the participants' creative potential that was expressed in this work. And connected to this point, the last one, the importance for us to involve professional filmmakers, because they can really make the difference in achieving the artistic quality of the final pieces, and also their engagement in the process is a guarantee for us of this respect of the specificity of cinematic language over the temptation of explanation or pedagogical temptations we can incur. And then I want to finish just mentioning some thoughts we have been developing in the fieldwork in Barcelona, because I will leave the floor to Andres in a few minutes, but me and Eduard Balleste were the ethnographic coordinator for the fieldwork in Barcelona, and he's also here in the session today. We were involved really closely in the cinematic workshop that Andres Duque organized here in Barcelona. And this, I think, was a really important experience for us as researchers. And I would love also to listen to Eduard's point of view after the discussion. And it was interesting for us from different points of view. First, it was really interesting to see the role of the filmmaker as a catalyst for bringing together different people in a common project, in a common artistic project that was challenging for them. And but it was really interesting to see how his artistic vision could be a catalyst for new experiences and new relationships also. Then we were impressed, I think, by the commitment to the project of the participants and the protagonists of the film, They really had a remarkable dedication to the project. And this, I think, was connected to the fact that the Anvers project was really something that mattered for them. I think this implication came from different points. First, I think that it was an important space of expression, but also of valorization of their creativity. Also, we have to consider that youth street groups, and in particular young migrants from Northern Africa, in this moment are in the spot of mediatic attention, and they are often stigmatized and really objectified in their representation. So I think that for participants, it was also a way to build alternative self-representations in these stigmatized racist contexts, and also to affirm their role as creators, as creative people, in challenging the ideas and the identities that are usually reproduced by the media. Then I think that the workshop was also an opportunity for social interaction with the peer group, but also with other social networks like the world of cinema, but also the world of research. And so in these times of pandemic, I believe it was like a good opportunity for everybody to have this space of interaction and connection. And also, I believe that for some of the participants, it was interesting as an opportunity to develop new skills and competencies related to cinema. And so it could be also interesting from a professional point of view. And then, finally, from the point of view of the researchers, it was an especially interesting and important experience for me, because it was, I think, a sort of unique opportunity to create bonds of affection as a basis for research and for the production of knowledge. The fact of being engaged in this workshop created more horizontal relationships between researchers and participants, and it freed, in certain way, it freed us, the researcher, from our role of those who write and take notes, to engage in a more friendly and closer relationship with the research participant based on trust and confidence. And it was also important that this relation of affection was embodied. During the workshop, we had the opportunity to have this kind of sensory interaction, to establish this physical proximity. And I think it was a really important, crucial step for building this relationship. And also, the engagement in this artistic practice was really crucial to gather meaningful ethnographic insights through the theatrical practice. And I'm sure that this will be really helpful in this process of creation of knowledge, to have this kind of experience and access to the participants' lives and accounts. And I'm about to finish. I just want to say briefly that we were affected by the pandemic. Actually, the part of our work that was more affected by the pandemic were precisely the participatory workshops that are suspended for a moment. We hope we will be able to do them by the end of this year, or maybe in the beginning of next year, but it's really unpredictable in this moment. So we hope the pandemic situation will allow us to do it as soon as possible, but we have to be patient and to be careful. So we are still waiting for what is coming. But at least we were able to make important advances in the production of the films. And in 2020, despite the pandemic, we were able to start the research and development of the 3 films. 2021 will be devoted to the production of the movies that we hope will be finished by the end of the year, and we aim to distribute these films along 2022 and over, and have their world premieres soon. Now I would love to leave the floor to Andres Duque, the director of the film in Barcelona, and to Youssef Chebi, the director of the film in Tunis. As Carles said, we are not able to connect with Marcela Zamora, but I hope that... Marcela! She's here!
Yes.
Marcela! Oh, that's surprise! That's great. Thank you, Marcela. I hope you're fine.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have the proof, and I run to my home, and I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's really great. Thank you so much for making it. It's really great. So now I'm finished, and now I will leave the floor to Andres Duque. I will just briefly introduce him. Andres Duque is a Spanish director born in Venezuela. He works in the field of non-fiction films with a strong documentary and essay vocation, and his films were screened and awarded in many important film festivals around the world, and also screened in many museums and cultural centers. So, Andres, here you are.
Okay, hello everyone. I wasn't expecting that many people, so I hope I can give something valuable back. Thank you, Margot, for the introduction. And I love that this process of starting doing the film despite the COVID and all the problems has been, you know, a good experience to you. First of all, yes, I would like to outline the fact that the main problem I see now in Spain is focused on a group of immigrants who are not under tutelage anymore, and they are quoted as ex-menas. And this group of people, they don't make they don't respond to the gang stricto sensu relation, but I think one, the media and the right wing are stigmatizing this young generation of immigrants so much, and it has been so much stigmatized that I could consider them a group which I call a family. And in that sense, I think that I can establish relationship with the term gang and this group of young people. So the first thing that happened in the project, it was looking for these ex-menas and people who are in a very vulnerable situation right now. Also responding with horror to the declarations of the politicians, right-wing politicians, and society and the media against them. I'm also an immigrant. I've been living in Spain for 21 years, and I know what it means, what it feels to be the other. And in that sense, I think my films always has this sense of connection with the world, from somebody who goes and, you know, enters into a new society with new relationships, and also the idea of not fixing territory, but is through the affections that I try to explain my films. So in that sense, I think I will try to, or I'm trying to generate a sense of community among these people. These friends, they also have in common the fact that they want to live and stay in a small town that is 50 kilometers from Barcelona. It is a small town called Canet de Mar. They're all the immigrants come from Morocco, but I try to put them in the same context as their friends from Catalonia, their Catalan friends, who also are part of this group, and therefore establishing a new relationship, new dialogue, a new and a way to understand the importance of integration, which is I'm your neighbor, and the land is the land of everybody, basically. So with the film, I established 3 phases, in which the first one I started doing sort of a workshop of film, like teaching my friends to use the camera, and right now they are experts in, you know, measuring the lights, and, you know, putting and framing, and, you know, using the camera the way it should be used. And the second part, where Margot and Edouard became part of it, which it was unexpected, because I thought they were going to stay quiet in the distance, taking notes. But suddenly there was this beautiful, miraculous break where they entered the film, and they participated in the activities, and that for me is the essence of the film. In this part is basically working with memory and body through theatrical exercises. For that, we collaborated with a theater group here called Utopia, beautiful name. And well, it was more than I expected, because they were very shy. That's why I wanted to work theater with them. They were not very they couldn't they would feel fear, you know, being in front of a camera. And right now they are totally relaxed, and they know exactly they're doing a film, which I think is important. I'm not trying to hide the fact that this is a film and there is somebody behind the camera, and there's always some staging that is important, that is visible in the film. So the third part, it will be a register of their life in Canet de Mar. And I should say that Canet de Mar is special because regarding other neighbor towns, they are more open towards, let's say, relatively more open to immigration, and they have to learn from zero, because in Spain, the immigration process are still not, they didn't go that fast as it had happened in other countries. So I have suffered that, and many people have suffered from this stigmatization. I mean, the same fact that I am a Spanish filmmaker born in Venezuela, it created a big headache to film critics. And the fact that even though I consider myself a Spanish filmmaker, which is where I am, and I produce my films, I don't normally work on issues or themes that belong to Spanish culture, if one could call it like that. My films are more poetic in a broader sense, and also I do have some ethnographic interest all my life, and I think my films starts with the ethnographic illusion of trying to understand the other, trying to communicate with the other, and that has led me to very remote places on the earth, like Mozambique or even Russia, where I've been going for 10 years now. So it's that moment where, you know, two people from different cultures meet, but they don't speak the language, and they have to find ways to establish some dialogue. It's that moment of nakedness where I love to feel, and where I think my films are based in that feeling. So I'm not an ethnographic filmmaker. I said it before. I think it's always a challenge, because I was taught to do documentary in a way that you have to be like very orthodox and rigorous about how to represent the reality and how to construct the truth. And but for me it wasn't enough, maybe because I had also this artistic pulsion towards film. But again, when you're studying, you are very insecure and you don't know where you're going. And now I can speak a little bit of that, because it happened that when I saw a film by Chris Marker called Letters to Siberia, which is an essay film, and he says at some point that objectivity is not enough. So that for me was caused a big impact, and also some readings like Experimental Ethnography by Catherine Russell. They gave me the potential to explore things that, apart from representing the reality, were of personal interest, which is, for example, the idea of the induction of the mystical or the fantastic or the invisible or the metaphysics that is in the real world. And that's a part of the reality that orthodox and maybe academic methods they don't pay much attention. But for me, it was also that part of cinema that is important. And I've been finding it through all my works, and my films are like that conjunction between some a reality where different where the mystical, the induction of the trance, and many aspects that belong to the technique of doing film, and the effect that the film produces in our brains. but also finding it in real people, in their daily rituals, people who are probably in that place where madness and the rationale are trembling. So right now, my friends, they are in a good moment to start the next stage, and where I will be filming in Canet de Mar, in their town, and I will try again to make cinema as a tool that generates or catalyze a dialogue with the people of Canet. So we were working in the theater a lot about staging, about the gesture, and now we're going to be using these tools to create a dynamic where these friends, they will go to their neighbor's house and they will do a portrait of them, and there will be a dialogue, and there will be like a posture, a gesture, photographic with movement, that it will be part of the film. And it will be this dialogue that will give us the traces of the problematics that they're facing as a community that, again, I define not as a community that they invented themselves, but a community which they are the victim. They are the stigmatized community of the ex-menas, and hopefully to show their human parts, and even with their contradictions, and showing respectful and human aspect of these individuals in this town, and again vindicating the facts that we are all neighbors. So I will show a sequence of this theater that we were doing, in which there is one of them who is representing the moment of fear, and he representing that moment where he feels he should move. He should go probably to Spain. So I hope it will let me. Yes, it's letting me. Thank you. Great. Whoa. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
And right now?
Yes.
If I could play, are you seeing an image?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ja, هو مش متلخص في الورد. الحبس اللي احنا فيه بصح. ما مكاينش حل كاين حل أوسع باقي الشروط الخاصة. عارف الأشياء فيه بزاف تعرف رسائل ما احنا معاهم ربي ان شاء الله. شريك ان شاء الله يكون خير. وإذا الله يرحم كم من المصاعب منكم الساعة واحد بعد يمشي على سوشيال ساعة ساعة ونص بعد ساعة ونص عندنا في مش خلص هو ممكنش بعد كامل تسافر فيها ساعة ونص ما بوسيبل الساعة الشيء ممكنش مش كامل تسافر فيها ساعة ونص شنو عندي ما فهمش مش عارف وين دراسة في قرافات الحفاظة دي مرجوة بس العلاقات مش كمان قوية يعني ما عندناش نعرف السفر يزنون شيء في نحل دي سينما إسبانيا شي حاجة أخرى ممكن صافي شي خلي شي يجيبوا الله يرحمك بعدين من صافي
Okay. Yeah. So let me see how do I undo this comparative camera?
I think that.
Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of the exercises. It's not yet colorized or edited the way it should be, but anyways, I think you get very well the impression that through his phrases that also are part of his memory, this breaks of the linearity of telling a story that is what fascinates me. That theater can help us produce, and for me, it's also very cinematic way to narrate. So I don't know. Am I on time, or shall I continue because I talk a lot?
Don't worry, Andres. I think that if you want, we can stop here and then continue in the discussion after. I think that if it's okay, or if you want just to finish or adding something.
No, I just want to thank you for hearing and watching.
Thank you. Thank you, Andres, also for sharing these images. And now I leave the floor to Marcela Zamora. She's the director of the film of the Transgang Project shoot in El Salvador. She's an alumna of Escuela Internacional de Cine y Televisión de San Antonio de los Baños in Cuba, the Cátedra Documental. She's a director with a long experience in documentaries about human rights, gender, and memory. She is based in El Salvador, and her films have been selected and awarded in many international film festivals. Her last film, Los Ofendidos, premiered in IDFA. So, Marcela, if you want to...
Hi, good afternoon. Did you hear me? Yes. Hi, good afternoon there. This is good morning for me, and thank you, Margot. Thank you, Carles, and nice to meet you, Andres and Joseph. How beautiful the part of your film you show us, Andres. Congratulations, and thanks for your words. And
thank you.
Okay, and I hope we meet the three of us in the future. I'm sorry. I will speak in Spanish. My English is good. It's not so good, but I'm sick, and I will speak in Spanish, and I think Carles or Margot will translate because this subject for me is very tough. I had for 12 years, I was investigated the violence in Central America and Mexico. I have 6 features about that. And yes, I have a lot of experience like a documentary because I'm not a academic, but I have a lot of research about the subjects. I talk frequently with Carles because I have a very different point of view of gangs, and I know gangs in the world are different. Las causas, okay, the causes, how they se agrupan, they group, they put together, and I think hearing Andres, we have some points in common, but we have a lot of points not in common, very different than the gangs in el Triángulo Norte de Central America, el Triángulo Norte, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. And I want to begin in saying I'm a documentary, I'm not an academic, but I have a very long researches before beginning my documentaries, like 2 years or 3 years before play rec in the camera, or make a script, because I work with a script. And this particular documentary I beginning with my heart 3 years ago. I beginning to present, to go to the presence of this group, este cuarteto sinfónico. I don't know how to say that in English, I'm sorry. And I beginning with my heart because 4 years ago I finished one documentary about torture people in El Salvador in the Civil War, and my character, mi personaje principal, it was my father, and it was for me very tough make that documentary, and I make a pause a pause for almost 3 years. But then Julio Monge, a break, of course, a break for 3 years. And then Julio Monge, who is a director of the ONG TNT, who liderea the program of reinsertion is okay. Gangs, ex-gangs to the society, okay? And he have this program in the jail, in the girls and teenagers in jails. Jail es cárcel, ¿no? Sí. And he invited me to make a documentary. Yeah, it was very, because he know I know about the subject, but I say no because I wasn't prepared, and I think we have to be prepared to make a film like this, or for every film, every document, we have to be prepared. Maduro, how do you say Maduro? Maduro. We have to be maduro para ser not a teenager, an adult, mature. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 questions I will explain that will be my speech, and I will say I will not show any image. I'm sorry, but in Central America, Gant's subject is a subject for death or life, and my characters. One of my character is still in. I don't know. This is one of my character is in libertad condicional. Is libertad condicional. Okay, and I waiting for his liberty. The other three characters of my documentary are free, but they passed 5 years in jail, and right now I can't show anything. I'm so sorry for that, but I will tell you something, some histories, okay? Well, the first question is ¿cómo llegué al tema? How I get to how I get to the bueno, ¿cómo llegué al tema? When the director of TNT invited me to see this program is una orquesta de cuerdas dentro de cárcel de menores, de niñas menores de edad, de niñas y adolescentes en El Salvador. And when I see this concert in the Teatro Nacional Theater, I was very impressed because here in El Salvador, we don't have good good reinsertion programs. We have la mano dura, mano dura, you know. Okay, and the mano dura is a violent medida para detener las pandillas. Voy a comenzar a hablar en español, ¿sí? Por favor. ¿Sí? ¿No pasa nada? Ok, gracias. Lo cierto. La mano dura en El Salvador es una medida que se impuso 5 años atrás por un gobierno de derecha que consistía en amedrentar, violentar y ocupar todo recurso de represión contra las pandillas. ¿Qué pasa? Que en Centroamérica, en el Triángulo Norte, las pandillas están consideradas, cada joven en El Salvador que viene de una comunidad y es pobre y transita entre los 11 y 18 años, es considerado un criminal, es considerado un miembro de la pandilla. Aunque para cuando comenzó las pandillas en El Salvador habían 60,000 miembros, actualmente habrán como 40,000 o 30,000 porque han matado a muchos y han dejado de brincar y de meter a pandillas. It's okay I speak Spanish? I'm sorry, Carles, really. It's okay?
It's okay. Nele is translating in the chat, so don't worry. You can speak Spanish.
Thank you, really. Thank you very much. I promise the next one I will speak in English.
But mano dura today is an international term,
Yeah,
so don't worry.
I know. And se hizo un tema, ¿no? Con el tema de mano dura, que fue trasladada a mano más dura, mano súper dura, la mano de hierro, la mano más de hierro, y todas fracasaron. Todas fueron un fracaso, pero nadie logró ver que ese no era la forma de abordar el tema de la violencia de pandillas en el Triángulo Norte o en cualquier lado del mundo. Está totalmente visto, ¿no? ¿Cómo llegué al tema? Llegué así, llegué un poco escéptica también, porque me invitaron a ver este programa de reinserción, y para mí los programas de reinserción en El Salvador no funcionan porque son unos programas momentáneos, son unos programas que te dan una herramienta que te funciona dentro de la cárcel pero no afuera. Entonces, para mí no era. Aquí están acostumbrados a darte el pescado, pero no la caña, ¿sí? De pescar. Entonces, comencé a ir, a observar, y poco a poco fui interesándome, ¿no? Al ver los progresos que tenía en la cárcel, a donde se instaló este proyecto que se llama, la orquesta de cuerda sinfónica del ISNA, que es la cárcel de menores de mujeres. Comenzó con 128 jóvenes encarceladas y actualmente, después de 3 años, casi 4, hay 20 y no hay ninguna reinserción. Es muy importante ver cómo estas niñas no solo salieron de la cárcel, sino que no volvieron a entrar, porque de cada 5 internas, 3 volvían a entrar a los pocos meses, o sea, recaían, no había ninguna reinserción afuera ni adentro, por supuesto, ¿no? Así llegué al tema. ¿Por qué decidí hacer el documental? Hace 1 año y medio que lo decidí ya totalmente, porque creo yo que ya había sanado también las heridas que uno va cargando, y no me dejarán mentir Andrés y Yusef, las heridas que uno va cargando cada vez que hace un documental, ¿no? Y creo que comencé a ver esperanza, porque creo yo que para hacer un documental, para mí, yo siempre parto de la esperanza. Si yo no encuentro luz, esperanza en ese rincón oscuro que voy a narrar, al que voy a observar, no hago un documental, porque realmente creo que si vos solo mostrás oscuridad, la gente sale del cine o del espectador, sale oscuro, no sale motivado ni con ganas de cambiar nada, ¿no? Bueno, entonces comencé a interactuar con estas chicas y vino la pandemia, cuando ya tenía todo para entrar a la cárcel, firmar adentro de la cárcel y todo. Vino la pandemia y me botó todo el documental. Y fue para mí muy difícil porque, claro, ya llevaba 1 año, 2 años trabajando en él. Pero conocí ya dentro de la cárcel, y había una afuera de la cárcel, a 4 chicas que iban a hacer un cuarteto sinfónico cuando estuvieran las 4 afuera, que se llama el Cuarteto Liberarte. 2 chicas se me olvidó explicar que este es el primer proyecto de reinserción a donde se unen pandilleros de la 18 con pandilleras de la pandilla 18 con pandilleras de la MS, algo que no se había hecho nunca más. Este cuarteto está formado por 2 pandilleras de la 18, por 2 ex pandilleras de la 18 y por 2 ex pandilleras de la MS. Entonces comencé a llegar al albergue a donde ellas iban llegando cuando iban saliendo de la cárcel, y comencé pues a convivir con ellas, ¿sí? Poco a poco, porque como dijo Andrés, ¿no? La desconfianza es grande, muy, muy grande. Al principio no me hablaban, no hablaban conmigo, hablaban muy poco, me miraban un poco raro también. Además, tenían este concepto de la super documentalista o periodista, como le quisieran llamar, y pues también que no es así. Había como cierto desnivel, ¿no? Cuando tú tienes tu personaje y tus personajes te ven a este nivel, no funciona el cine documental. Yo nunca voy a ser igual que mis personajes, pero sí voy a empatizar con mis personajes. ¿Qué encontré cuando ya comencé a platicar con estas jóvenes? Encontré las mismas cosas que encontré cada vez que entraba a la cárcel a platicar con un pandillero. He entrado varias veces a cárcel de pandillas, de hombres y de mujeres. He trabajado en muchísimas comunidades de pandilleros. Conozco muchos palabreros, conozco muchos palabreras también cuando había. Ahora ya no hay miembros de la pandilla mujeres, ya no hay en El Salvador. Y encontré unos factores que para mí son fundamentales para explicar este tema, y es la conversación que siempre tenemos con Carles, que es, para mí, hablar de pandillas no sirve de nada si vos no hablas de las causas que llevan a estos jóvenes a la pandilla. Y creo yo que los medios de comunicación, todo el aparato gubernamental de comunicación, la sociedad, se ha encargado de hablar sobre la consecuencia, que es la pandilla. La pandilla es una consecuencia de muchas causas. Entonces, muy poca gente, si no es casi nadie, se ha puesto a hablar sobre las consecuencias que llevaron a estos jóvenes, porque eran muy jóvenes, a ingresar a la pandilla. Si vos no entendés, si las personas no entienden estas consecuencias, las pandillas son un grupo de bestias, animales y no seres humanos. Uno, al entender qué le llevó a este joven a matar, a robar, a extorsionar, a violar, porque todo eso lo hacen, claro, a violentar o simplemente a colaborar con la pandilla, vos no podés solucionar ese problema porque es un problema. Yo diría aquí que hay dos líneas muy importantes que atraviesan todos los aspectos de la vida de los centroamericanos, especialmente hondureños, guatemaltecos y salvadoreños, que es la migración y las guías. Nosotros, nuestra vida cotidiana gira alrededor de estos dos temas. Hay un tema que se ha abordado mucho, sí, la migración, y creo que se ha abordado desde todos los aspectos casi posibles, siempre va a haber un aspecto posible distinto, pero las pandillas creo que se ha abordado desde la consecuencia y no desde las causas. ¿Qué pasa cuando uno aborda desde las causas? No solo comprende cómo arreglar el problema, sino que comprende y empatiza con ese grupo de jóvenes a los que hemos deshumanizado y a los que aquí se les pide que quemen las cárceles, quieren poner la pena de muerte para matar a todos estos jóvenes, ¿no? Aquí en El Salvador ser joven es ser joven, venir de una comunidad, ser pobre y pues vestir flojo también, ¿verdad? Tu forma de vestir es ser criminal. Entonces ellos parten de eso. Yo tenía aquí una frase, todo esto lo encontré, ya lo había encontrado, pero lo reafirmé estando con ellas, ¿no? Y platicando entre plática y plática. Yo digo que este documental va a ser un documental de hablando mientras nos maquillamos, porque como ellas hacen varias presentaciones, mientras ellas se maquillan es cuando ellas hablan mucho, ¿no? Entonces hay muchas secuencias de maquillaje y me maquillan a mí, que yo no me maquillo ni nada, y me peinan y me hacen cosas porque así son bellas. Entonces, yo hablando con ellas encontré este tema que me acuerdo que Andrés también lo mencionó, que es la familia. La familia es muy importante en nuestros países, es muy, muy importante, sobre todo la madre. La madre es intocable, como se dice. De hecho, la pandilla lo único que no mata son madres, ¿sí? Puede estar en fuego cruzado y morir, pero la madre no se toca, ¿no? Se le toca al hijo, al esposo, a todos menos a la madre. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que he encontrado en común con estas niñas y el resto de pandilleros o expandilleros con los que he platicado? Y son algunas cosas que he escribido aquí. Que es primero la violencia intrafamiliar. Casi a todos los que he entrevistado entraron a la pandilla porque el papá le pegaba a la mamá. Y cuando se metió, la mamá se puso del lado del papá o del padrastro. La violaron, algún familiar. Aquí en El Salvador, de cada 5 violaciones, 4 son realizadas por un familiar cercano o un familiar. La violaron, como uno de mis personajes. La mamá se migró, entonces quedó con la abuela ya no tiene ganas de seguir criando, y bueno, eso, problemas intrafamiliares. De ahí continuar los estudios. El Salvador parece si ves El Salvador y lo comienzas a ver con los ojos de la pandilla, lo territorial, es como un juego, un tablero de ajedrez, ¿no? Tú no puedes pasar de 3 cuadras, tú ya no puedes pasar. Hay colonias, no sé cómo se dice colonias o cantones, enteros que están cercados, porque son de la 18 y alrededor de ellos solo hay MS. Entonces, estos chicos pueden estudiar en la escuelita que está adentro hasta 9º grado, pero ya no pueden ir al bachillerato. ¿Por qué? Porque los matan o porque pues los desaparecen. Aquí hay un número muy alto de desaparecidos y no tenemos la figura del desaparecido. No existe una figura de desaparecido legalmente en El Salvador todavía. Entonces, no pueden continuar los estudios, se quedan adentro de esta comunidad y adentro de la comunidad tienen una familia disfuncional, lo que les queda es unirse a la partida, ¿no? Luego no hay trabajo. El trabajo aquí es, si vienes de la comunidad tal, no te doy trabajo. Hay muchos jóvenes que sacan DUIs falsos, DNI se llama, ¿no? DUI, DUIs falsos de lugares que no sean estigmatizados, que son muy pocos. Entonces, es muy difícil encontrar trabajo para los jóvenes en El Salvador, y menos si estás tatuado. Ya hace unos años ya no se tatúan las pandillas. Luego no hay espacios de esparcimiento cultural ni de convivio familiar. No existe en El Salvador. Las comunidades están construidas una casa encima de la otra y apenas hay una cancha, y la cancha la mayoría de veces está tomada por los militares o por la policía o por la pandilla. Entonces tampoco es un lugar seguro donde estar. Hay muchos muertos en las canchas, de hecho. Y lo último que me lleva a lo que también es muy importante es la violencia por los grupos gubernamentales represivos, que es la policía y los militares. Aquí hay una violencia desmesurada de parte de los policías y los militares. Y ahora con el gobierno actual es una violencia justificada y alentada. ¿Esto a qué nos lleva? A un grupo de jóvenes que tienen rabia por dentro y que tienen una grande ganas de venganza. Eso es lo que he encontrado en estos jóvenes, que al llegar a la cárcel lo que hacen es que crece ese sentimiento de rabia, crece ese sentimiento de venganza, y lo que menos hacen es un proceso de sanación, un proceso de sanación con ellos mismos, porque a ellos nadie les va a pedir perdón, ¿sí? Tú me vas diciendo el tiempo, Margot, por favor. Ok, y entonces lo que...
Marla, si puedes ir terminando, porque tendríamos que pasar a Yusef. Entonces, sí.
Ahorita
Gracias.
Sí. Entonces, ¿qué encontré? Solo voy a poner un ejemplo de qué va mi documental. El documental es muy complicado porque es un tema muy complicado y complejo, ¿no? Yo le decía a una de ellas, ¿no? Si a un niño tú le dices 3 veces al día que es violento, tú eres violento, tú eres violento, tú eres violento, y cualquier cosa que hagas porque el niño es violento, el niño va a ser violento, ¿sí? Y estos son niños, son jóvenes. Entonces, aquí no hay una cultura de él, tú lo estás haciendo bien y hace muchísima falta, ¿no? Solo les quiero contar 2 historias para ir cerrando, porque ¿qué encontré? Encontré mucha desconfianza, mucho miedo. Estos jóvenes tienen muchísimo miedo, y construir un puente de confianza entre ellos y yo, entre ellas y yo, son 4 mis personajes, fue muy difícil. El documental se llama Las Más Guapas, y es un documental sobre estas 4 jóvenes y cómo ellas van aprendieron desde la cárcel, pero siguen aprendiendo afuera, cómo reencontrarse, cómo saber que son útiles en la sociedad. Y creo que, y sobre todo el documental, lo que quiero que pase es que el público se sienta identificado con estas historias y cree un lazo de empatía, porque existe entre estos jóvenes y nosotros, ¿no? Y yo al final me encontré en ellas. Ha sido un viaje muy íntimo, muy personal, muy doloroso, y una de mis personajes fue violada por su papá desde los 6 años, desde los 7 años hasta los 14 años, y nunca le dijo a su madre, porque el padre daba $10 semanales, y por esos $10 ella se dejó violar. No puede tener hijos, tiene un problema, quedó con un problema, ¿Y qué pasó cuando ella decidió ya no seguir siendo violada por su padre? Salió, estaba sola y se unió a la pandilla. Y así actuó el peor de las historias. Yo, ¿qué hubiera hecho si hubiera estado en su lugar? Me meto a las pandillas también. Entonces también quiero que este documental sea una reflexión de a dónde estamos, a dónde estamos colocados, desde dónde vemos, desde dónde juzgamos, desde dónde escuchamos y desde dónde nos acercamos o no a este grupo de expandilleros o pandilleros, da igual, están dañados igual. Entonces, mi documental es una conversación entre la vida y la muerte, porque a ellas les ha marcado en vida la muerte. Entonces, creo que esa es la construcción de este documental. Perdón que me sentí tanto.
No, gracias, Marcela. Muchas gracias. We move now to Youssef Chebbi. He's a Tunisian director. He directed his first short film in 2010. In 2011, he co-directed the documentary feature film Babylon, awarded in FID Marseille. And the last film he co-directed, Black Medusa, was premiered in Rotterdam just a few weeks ago. And he's also a music producer, and he's now working on his first fiction film. So, Youssef, the floor is yours. Thank you. And sorry, Youssef, Youssef? I think there is an issue with the connection. Youssef, can you hear me? I'm afraid we lost the connection with him. No. Now, Youssef, do you hear me? Youssef? I don't know. Yeah. So, okay. I think that maybe, Youssef, we can, I don't know if it's better to move to the discussion and then see if Youssef can reconnect, or maybe you can just try to switch your camera off and see if it works. I'll try to send him a message. Let's see if he manages to reconnect. I just sent him a message asking him to switch off the camera. Okay, so he left the session. Let's see if he is able to reconnect. I'm sorry, we always have these kind of issues with online meetings. It's sadly common to. Let's see, if you want, we can just wait like a couple of minutes, and if it doesn't work, we can just move to the discussion, and then we can give the floor to use later if he manages to come back and join us. Oh, okay, we can wait. Yes, Youssef.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, thank you so much.
My connection is terrible. Maybe I will not put the camera because.
Yeah. Yes. Don't worry. No problem at all. Thank you, Youssef.
Thank you all. Thank you for inviting me in this beautiful adventure. Thanks to everyone and to my fellow filmmakers. So yes. So yeah, I I think that my friends are more advanced in their project because we really. Well, I didn't really manage to start filming because because of the pandemic, but I will certainly start next month because I'm finally leaving to Tunis. So yes, my film is I like to consider it as a movement of immersion inside the group of different group of young people who are gathered to organize a festival of alternative and experimental music called the Selling Stones Festival. It's a festival who started in 2014. I'm also part of the organization of this event, and we started it in 2014 as really something very instinctive because it was just after the revolution, and we realized that there is no events or spaces for live music. I mean, music where people come and play on stage, and where the audience can also witness artists on stage playing with their instruments. So we started organizing this event in 2014. It's not an official event. It's don't have any help. We don't ask for any help from the Ministry of Culture or any official institution in Tunisia. It's by choice, and so it's really an event who is totally independent, and it's his main goal is to enlighten a part of the Tunisian local scene who is playing music that could be considered as how you say it, experimental or not non-commercial music, let's say. So the way I imagine the film is it's in different movements. So in the beginning, I would like to start with the organizers of the festival, the young group who is organizing this event, and they are my close friend to me. We know each other since 10 years now. We lived the events of 2011 together in Tunisia, and this idea of the festival was also to answer to what we felt is missing for the young Tunisian scene who emerged after 2011, and so the first movement will be to follow this group of organizers and to promote them in their everyday life, and also how they make organize such an event, because it's an official event. So of course we have always trouble with the police and complicated question in Tunisia. Is it allowed to sell alcohol or not? And of course, because it's a festival, we try to find solutions that are not always official. Through this first group, the film will also portray artists from the local scene in Tunisia, and so these artists are younger, between 18 years old and 25 years old, and I would like to spend time with the artists, and also in their everyday life, and where they live, and how also they choose this kind of music that can be sometimes aggressive, that can be sometimes noisy, that can be like punk music or noise music or industrial music. Sometimes that is far from what young people hear or make music in Tunisia. And through their music, I would like also to explore why they choose this medium, and how society also is it's some kind responsible of this choice. Why this music is it linked to their everyday life, being young in Tunisian society today? There is another point of the film, is that the festival is a roaming event. So each year the festival try to go in a region in Tunisia where cultural life is not really it's not really. I mean, there is no concerts, or there is no theaters, or there is no events, festival. So we try to go in places where even the Tunisians don't really know about. So in this place where the festival is take place, we will also meet the locals, the people who are invited to the festival for the edition, and of course the of this region. Each time we worked on the festival, we had a huge support from the young people who are living in these regions, and through them we also understand more and more about them, actually, about how they live and what are their hopes and aspiration. And also they really opened to the festival the possibility of they welcome it. I mean, as it was also their own project, their personal project. For example, last edition we canceled it for 2020, but we did it in 2019. We did it in a region called Dahmeni. Dahmeni, it's the northeast of Tunisia, not far from Algeria. And the young people there were, it was amazing how they welcomed the festival, and also because we don't really have money to produce this festival, of course. So they help us through everything, through how to get, for example, through the market, and how also to get essence for the cars, or even like how to access alcohol, or how to access some applications, or also the link with the local police that is always kind of for the unofficial events they are always a threat for this kind of events. So the film that I wish to do is something that gather all these different portraits. So we start with the organizers, and then we explore the local scene, and we explore musically their ways of doing music, how they choose this media and such type of music or another, the communities that they are living in, that are also very, even if they are very diverse. And then the third movement is to meet the local people who are hosting, from the region who is hosting the festival. And I imagine the film that, so it follows these three energies that are working together to create a temporary time and space to create a territory where they can really a territory of their own, actually, and because this is really missing in Tunisia. So I imagine the film as a movement of an immersive movement following this different groups who are working for the same thing. Of course, the idea is not to make a film about the festival only. It's not about make an advertisement about this event, and but it's really to observe what energies are implied in this event. So this is really how this is how I imagine it, and it's also, it will show us, I think, how also cultural life is very categorized in Tunisia. When you are official, you don't really have problems to express yourself, and because somehow you are under control of authorities or the Ministry of Culture, or when you're unofficial, you need to find a lot of ways to make things happen, and it's everyday surprises, and you need to adapt yourself, and you need to you can meet the thing that about unofficial events. This is what it's interesting, that you meet a lot of people, not only people from culture or organizing, you meet people from everywhere, and this is it. The idea is really to gather these energies, create a space where people can consider as their space, because there is a lack again of this kind of space where boundaries are not are not uh, are not here anymore, and there is no questions of social class or gender or everything actually, and it's something that pops up in 2 or 3 days and then somehow disappears again. So this is what I witnessed when since 2014, following this festival and helping to organize it. And this is why I would like to share with this film. Well, I think I hope it was clear, but yes, I'm sorry for not showing him or.
Don't worry, don't worry. We know that the pandemic has consequences for all of us. Don't worry. And thank you, Youssef, and thank you all the directors for sharing their different and really interesting experiences in these filmmaking processes. And now I would invite González Abrisqueta to as a discussant to help us directing this debate among our conveners. And Olat is a professor of social anthropology at Universidad del País Vasco. Her main research interests are sports, masculine solidarity, and interspecies relationships. She's the author of the book Basque Pelota, A Ritual and Aesthetic. She's also devoted to audiovisual production, and in 2007 she produced her first feature documentary, Jorgen Lev on Haiti. Her short film Carmen was awarded by the Society for Visual Anthropology of the Association of American Anthropologists, and she's currently working with Ainhoa Gutierrez del Pozo on a documentary about bears and wolves in the Basque Country. Olat, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sorry for the delay because we were supposed to start with this discussion like 40 minutes ago, but I hope you will have time to stay with us a little more, and if not, we understand. I think that if all the other participants are okay, we can extend a bit our session until 6:30, but not so much after. So I think we have like 30 minutes for discussion, and I hope it's okay, it's enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm very happy to be here. I'm really fan of Andres Duque. I don't know Marcela's and Youssef's, but I will check for sure. And I'm waiting for knowing their work also. I think the best way to start is maybe I think you didn't have the opportunity to meet each other, the filmmakers, so maybe you have some cross question or something you want to ask to the other one, so you can I can ask for the floor, or if you want. If not, people can also to make questions through the chat. I think I'm going to start if you don't have any question, but if you want to speak, you can do these two things, to raise your hand or write directly on the chat. So I think, Margot, if you, maybe there's some resonance. I think the best way, we are ethnographers, so I think the filmmakers talk a lot about the experiential process in the filmmaking with in this film, and also about the thematic questions. So maybe it's better if we start talking about formal methodological things, like how do they work with the camera or with filmmaking decisions. I'm interested on that because they did our work. So let's see if we know how they work in their normally filmmaking process. So I don't know. For us, for example, the camera is always a problematic issue because in a way I think to have a camera in the field is something that give you something to do. Sometimes it's not easy to be in the field without anything, just with a pen or something, and a camera gives you a place in the field sometimes. And in other side, on the other hand, it's also something that that you feel that you are losing something when you are recording. There is some distance that you don't feel the same way that if you are not with the camera. I would like to ask the filmmakers, the three of them, how they work with the camera, if the camera is always present in their work, if they present themselves to the characters with the camera or not. Marcela told a little bit about that, but now the other two, I think, if they can tell us how they work with the camera, if they use the camera, is in their hands, or if they have another person with the camera, how they deal with the filmmaking process, the more experiential one with the camera and like a mediator.
Should I start? I don't know if you hear me.
Youssef, if you want to start, you have the micro on.
Yes, do you hear me now?
Yes, you can talk.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes, the camera. Personally, I love to film, so I always have a camera around me, and I try to film scenes like surrounding me. So I will film. I will film. Certainly, I will have the camera, and but I will also ask a friend to be here for some sequences, because in the case of this documentary, even if of course, I will be directing the film, but sometimes I need also to be part of the organization of the festival. Even if I told my friends that they need to do without me this time, but I know that there is moments where maybe I need to be with them. So a friend of mine with already, she's a photographer. She will also be here to film for some sequences. For me, I really I learned a lot through documentary. I directed my first films were fictions, and then 10 years ago we had this occasion on working on this documentary Babylon, and for me it changed a lot of things. It showed me that in cinema you can have a documentary huge freedom of creativity, actually, because you create with reality. Documentaries are sometimes for me how to create with reality, and also how to organize reality to lead it in a point of view, or through a sensitivity, through a way of picturing the world. So I imagine that this film will be also like this. I really imagine it as a movement, an immersive movement that needs to show all this energy that is growing around this event. So I feel the idea is to film from April to September. So to also spend time and to put this event in a time that we can feel, because of course we don't even know already if the festival can happen this year because of the pandemic. But it's really the journey to arrive to this point that is interesting me. So I will film, I think, maybe every day, and also spend time with, so start with this first group of organizers, but then also it's very important to spend time with the artists and also leave the organizers, so we can have like kind of a switch of a point of view, but on the same event. So we can follow the organizers, but also spend time with the artists and try to portray them in their everyday life and also in their creative process. And then also as I said, also the third with the local people who is going to host the festival. Where I also imagine to spend time with them and not only visit them when the organizers team is doing her work, but stay there and to also see how, from their point of view, this festival is coming to them and what are they doing and what they can do to also host this event. So it's yeah, it's multiple portraits, and I hope will manage to happen at some point to gather all these energies from different spots.
Okay, thank you, Youssef. I don't know if Marcela or Andres, do they want to?
So, you want?
Well, in my case, the issue of having a camera, planting a camera in front of a person, it has been so different in every aspect that I will try to. I will share an anecdote that I think it will explain many things. In 2016, I did probably my most ambitious film, that it was about to make a portrait of a Russian composer called Oleg Karavalchuk. And he was a very difficult person, and he was a mad person. It was very difficult. Somebody has the microphone opened.
Yeah, Marcela, I think you have the microphone.
So I mean, for 2 years, I was trying to make a connection with this person, and it was impossible. It was really, really tough. And I was getting really sad and upset. And one day he told me, because we never agreed on how, what the film would be about. He once told me, Andres, you're a filmmaker of the improvisations. All your films are about improvisation. And I'm a musician of improvisation. So this film should be about improvisation. And I said, wow, great. He gave me a beautiful lesson, and he brought me back to what the things I really feel. But how to shoot improvisation? It's not a thing that you put a camera and you just wait for things to happen. You have to, and that I learned working on this project. You have to prepare. You have to even lie, but for a good purpose. You have to, in this case in particular, I had to make Oleg Karavalchuk become another person, an inspired version of himself, because he was very grumpy and very, bad humored all the time. And I didn't want that on my film. I wanted him, passionate and artist and a poet. So to do that, I developed a series of improvised stagings, where, for example, as I knew him already, I knew everything about him. He was a huge fan of Nikolai Gogol, the writer, and when there was a sequence I organized to do in the Hermitage Museum. And what I did is I brought Caravachuk from the train station to the Hermitage Museum. We did a walk-in that it was the same walk-in that a character of a Gogol short novel describes, Nevsky Prospect. And once I get into the Hermitage, I said to Oleg Caravachuk, "Did you see? We just made the same walk-in that this character do in the book." And he was, "Oh yes, it's true." And he starts becoming, interested in what was going on. And I said to my translator, "Alexei, did you by chance bring the book Nevsky Prospect?" "Oh yes, by chance I have it here." Of course, it was all planned. And he started reading the book and of course, Oleg became the person I wanted to be in the film. He became, he started reciting, the certain passages of the book, and my camera was in a gallery waiting for us, and I just opened the door and let Oleg in, and I couldn't even be there. He just entered into this lonely gallery and see my camera that is at the end of the gallery, and he understands what is going on. He understands that is the moment to improvise. So he starts doing an improvisation that is the opening of the film. And every sequence in this film happened like this, through lying to Caravachuk, that we're not filming, we're not doing anything, but boom, at some moment there is the camera, and then he is already, in this beautiful, inspirational part of him. So this gave me this notion that the importance of preparing this improvisation and the value of theater in this sense that has made me pay more and more attention about how actors develop techniques of improvisation, because I think they can be very useful for documentary as well. I mean, you prepare the feeling, the emotion, the intonation of the characters, and then you put them there, and they do what they feel they should do, and probably what you get is something beautiful. So that's somehow my technique of filming the improvisation, and that is now, thanks to this film, I'm developing it more by collaborating with the theater monitors.
Thank you very much for this example of provoking camera, no? That is, for us in anthropology, has been, I don't know if you know Foreign Parts, for example, in the movement, this guy, he's drugging himself, and smoking a joint and telling one, and of course Jan Roos is fantastic, but this performance thing I really enjoy. Thank you. Marcela, your relation with the camera?
Hi, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Yes, I think every documentary needs a different language, and you have to find the language to tell the story, And the way I make documentaries, I spend like, I don't know, a lot of time observing, because the photography and the sound is an extension for the relationship between the characters and the directors, and it's the only way for me to make a documentary. And in this documentary, I never do the camera. I know about camera, but I never do the camera. I always have a photographer, and the photographer is an extension for me. And I almost all my documentaries are filming with for the con with the same photographer. But this documentary, I spent 1.5 years filming. It's impossible because he is from Costa Rica. He's not from El Salvador. And I use 3 photographers for this documentary. And sometimes I make the photographer. But for respond your question, I always begin the filming. I begin to film, but the first months or the first days I filming, this part of the film never, not always, but almost never, no me sirven, doesn't work for me, because it's just for make a relation with the character. The character feel the camera is there, but at the end of the month, they forgot the camera, and they focus in me, and that's what I use. And this documentary is the same. I film like 1 or 2 months, and then they forgot the camera, and it's a conversation with me, and I filming 3 times a week, in the albergue shelter, in the shelter. And it's an observation camera and sound, because for me it's very important, the sound is, I think I sound filmmaker, because the first thing I imagine is the sound of the movie, not the photographer, not the photographer. Yeah, not a photography. And that's the way I made this documentary, and I filmed these 3 incredible photographers, 2 from El Salvador and one from the United States. And I think is that is an observation, a conversation, and profundize, and I go deeply in the subject with the time. It's a stay for me.
Okay, thank you very much for the comments. I don't know, the people, I think the people don't want to ask anything, so I will continue with some filmmaking decisions. If you want to tell us something about if you impose some rules in filmmaking, or I mean in each documentary, or if you you just let yourself go, or do you check the material every day, or how do you have some kind of rituals for checking the material, or wherever you think is important in the way you film, not just of course with the camera, but with some decisions, formal decisions behind the process. Or I think Joseph have problems. I don't know if someone doesn't understand Spanish. I don't know, Rachid or Sihem. I mean, we can continue in English, but if everyone speaks Spanish, sometimes it's, I don't know. Margot, Carles, ¿cómo veis la situación?
Creo que Rashid no habla castellano.
Okay, we continue in
No.
English. Or anyway. No, it's okay. If someone wants, we will try to translate or wherever. Marcela, Andrés, I don't know if you want.
Well, of course, there are some secrets that one starts to create in order to make films, and these secrets takes you to the next film and to the next film, and they appear as a form of a sign that says, "Hey, stop here! You should pay attention to this and see if there is a film here on the way." For me, is in that sense, it's a very intuitive process. The way I give a form, or I intent, an intonation of the film. It happens on the editing, and that's why I never rely editing, because I love it. I never rely editing on no one else, because for me it's like my brain working and trying to put order in these images, and this is the most personal process of the film in my case. Of course, everybody creative processes are very different and very free, but in my case, the editing is really necessary for me to do it. And in that sense, I'm very, as you said, yes, I check the material every day after finish. I mean, finish shooting is not just leaving the material to the DOP and do the work. No, it's the process that I do. I check the material, I check the scenes, because you you can see things appearing in the film that will help you continue the next day. This is something that it happens to me all the time, because when I'm filming, I'm not theorizing, I'm not thinking rationally. I'm just dealing with a situation and working with people, and I follow my instincts, and I feel I'm a very intuitive person, so I trust in my intuition. But it's very different when it comes to montage and editing. Is the rational part, and again, every preconception that you had on the film, probably it will go to take another turn, and that for me is the most beautiful thing that might happen to me. Because I feel that the film is heading and it's growing and it's heading to a different situation that definitely is even more interesting than what you thought at the beginning. So the editing process is a process that I start also like checking the material, translating if it's necessary. For translation, because I had a lot of experience with translating. It's beautiful because, every time people ask me, how could you do a documentary in Russian if you don't speak Russian? And I said, it's not necessary to understand everything. I mean, I have a translator with me, but most of the time I tell him, shut up, just let me feel what is going on here. Of course, I've been working with spatial people and people who gives you like an energy that is cinematic by nature, and you don't have to listen carefully like everything is said. But I normally have a very good interpreter or somebody who really understands the nature of the project. That's really important. And what I do is after I finish filming, when I'm checking the material, if there is time, or maybe, or if I have a very straightened calendar, I dedicate one day only for translation. And what I do is I put the rushes and with my translator beside me, and I record him or her, and he starts, interpreting everything that is being said, and I just, putting the time codes. Like this, somebody says that time code 20 minutes, 15 seconds, and then I put this like a rough translation on the timeline. So when I come to the editing process, the headaches are all solved. It's like you already have your material, your selection of images that you like, and a rough translation already put there. And so I can, work freely and not depend on having a translator always beside me, because she already did the work. So I can work myself alone in my room and nobody disturb me. I like to work in hotel rooms, for example. is the best thing for editing. So in that sense, I start playing like a kid, like a child with the images. Then they start dialoguing among themselves. And again, where the rational part of the film is becomes and is also where you want to I forgot what I was going to say, but the rational part comes in also, and you mediate with, you know, what you film, what visually the film tells, narrates, and also what in the whole the film can express. So it's a very personal process, the editing, and it's important.
Thank you, Andres. Marcela, do you want to answer?
Thank you. Yes, I will be.
Margot, sorry, Marcela. Margot, could you close your micro, please?
Thank you. I will be quickly. I don't feel good, but I will answer this question. And I think every character have a routine. Every character have a routine, and I make a long investigation to find this routine. And when I find this routine, I wrote a sequence, and I film with sequence in my head. I never, I don't do like Andres, but I want to do it, but I can't. Is my head don't work like that. My head is a script, a script, and I have to know very, very, very well every character, and I know at what time she walk, what she do in the morning, what she do in the afternoon, what she cause pain, what she cause happiness, and that everything. You know, you understand? And then I make a script and I film sequence. I always go to film sequence. This is not a fiction, you know, but it's not an iron script because it's a documentary. But I know so well this character that I know if I make this question, I know what he will respond, you know, and what's the way she will responder, actuar, ¿no? Cómo va a reaccionar, reaction, what she reaction. And this take me a lot of time. This take me a lot of time, but I always film editing in my head. I always look the scene, and I know what I want to film. All my movies, my 6 feature, have 24, 26, or 30 hours filming. I don't film a lot, but normally I'm open to expect to improvisations, reactions. You know, I know I have a lot of improvisation reaction, but if you know very well your character, you will know how to film that reaction. If you don't know, it is difficult to film that, you know. And an example, when my last character was liberado, was have freedom, I don't know, sorry, was related, I go to jail, and all the group put serenata, I don't know, how do you say serenata? Okay, that one. To this girl who go out to the jail, his first day free, you know, and I was so nervous because it's like, okay, how she will, cómo va a reaccionar, cómo van a reaccionar las otras, dónde me paro, donde my photographer is my arm always, you know. But my films, mis rodajes son muy silenciosos. Everybody's quiet. I hate ruido, noise. We talk with the eyes or to the ear. We never yell. We never do that. Put the microphone. No, no. Everybody knows the way we act in the filming. And this day was very, because I talked with the mother for the first time, and she put to cry, and I was like, okay, this will be a very cry moment, but doesn't. And I like that because it's, nothing is black, nothing is nada es blanco y nada es negro. I believe in gris, no? Gray. I believe in gray. I don't believe in black or white. The person is not black, the person is not white. If you don't want to cry, it's okay and it's good for me. And this day, we decide the place we have to shoot, and I say to my photographer, you will see, they will don't cry, really, because these three girls who are waiting for the other one, they are so scared because they return to the jail for first time since they go out. They are thinking in this jail, no in his friend, in her friend. And I know that because I know my character so good. But I know my character who go out to jail, we will cry with the mother, but not with these girls. When they put together and they make ellos tocaron juntas cuando ella salió de la cárcel, and I know this thing in my mind, it's an imagination, but documentary is an imagination. I'm sorry, it's an imagination from the reality is a part you remember of the thing, and the remembrance is an imagination, And I think in Latin America, everything is mágico realista. I don't know how to say that. Everything, you talking is mágico realista, and you have to shoot that. Is that the way we are, and that's the way we have to shoot. And when that happened, it was very. I laugh right now, but I was shooting, and I like in trance. I put in trance, and I forgot everything, and we shoot everything. And then somebody give me a tissue, and why? And I realized I was crying like a baby, like and I didn't know I was crying. I cried from there. Yo lloré por ellas, but I didn't realize that, but that's the way I feel. I get in the scene. I imagine the scenes, and then I edit in my brain, and my photographers are very good, and the soundman is perfect. I use one soundman for all the documentary because they are so quiet. Really, the silence is so important. Really, for me, the silence is so important, not just for the film, not just for the process in the documentary. For me, the most powerful. I see your documentaries. I admire you so much. Really, very, very. I love it. Your documentaries, and for me, the most powerful scenes in my six features are when my character put quiet, estuvieron en silencio, be quiet, because they say more than 1,000 words, and that's the way I feel. Thank you. And I have to say goodbye. I don't feel good. Really, thank you very much. And I'm shaking, and I have to put something. But I really want to say thank you for this conversation. Andres, it's an honor meet you. It's very interesting what you say. Thank you. And thank you, all of you. And I have to say goodbye, really.
Thank you, Marcela, for being here. We know it was not easy, so we really appreciate that you made it. It was really a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And
okay, Margot. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe, Ola, I don't know if we have time for another round. Maybe it's time to wrap up the session.
No, I just had the last one. I questions, but I didn't want to leave here because I think it's important. Something that Andres said before, also like the about the topic, because I think we must to finish with the topic. If we have 5 minutes, we can finish.
I think we can.
Okay. They said before, like the community, they didn't build the community, but the community was built by others in this designation. No, they made themselves a gang or a group or a family because someone put them in that place. And I would like to ask Andres, of course, that probably they have their imaginary is also built by this position that the others put, and probably they want to give an image of themselves in the film. And I would like to know if he identifies this image and to what point is going to permit them to be that image or another new one from Andres and them in a kind of, I don't know, I don't know how to say in English, a kind of una nueva imagen construida entre vosotros, vamos, or wherever.
Yeah, understood. They feel themselves united by the fact of this reaction, negative reaction towards them. So in that sense, they take care a lot of themselves. But you have pointed one thing that for me is now is a speculation. But I want to really try to get deep into it. I don't know if I will get it, but this is informal conversation, so I will say it. Is the idea of how you start constructing new symbols in your new home. And sometimes they are objects, sometimes they are just symbols as they are. And so far, I haven't found this really aware of them. You know, it's a new generation and they have another issues, and they're not so much into, you know, creating a strong bubble around them. But something beautiful happened a few days ago, and two of them, they were fascinated by a really huge totem that is very strange, and it's kind of a, it looks like from the distance, it looked like a sculpture from the Soviet period, you know, this huge brutalist kind of design, and they are fascinated by them, and they feel some attraction towards it. And then we went because I wanted to know what was that, because if you see it from the distance, it looks like a human face. It's like a big stone hidden somewhere in the town. And when I got there, it was a place for, you know, climbers, you know, this big stone the climber used to practice. And I loved it because I thought it was kind of a sanctuary. And for them, they're not aware, they don't see it like that. But the way they interpret this thing, and they know there is some magnetism there, and they say, well, this is a place where people go to have sex, and this is a place to come in the evening. And I'm sure I'm going to use this monument because it's certainly a place where they find some connection. And that connection for me, I think I want to explore more, like a blue door that is in one small building that reminds them of the doors of the Maroc because of the color blue that is very similar to the blue of the Moroccans. And these kinds of elements are, I think, would help me create in the film a sense of new symbolic relationship with a new space, with a new home. But this is a speculation now.
Very good, very good. Okay, I think for me it's over. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the other two participants, filmmakers also. And thank you, Margot, for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Olas, for being here, for animating this discussion. Thank you, Andres. And thank you, Marcela and Yusuf, even if they had to leave. Yusuf sent me a message. He was not able to continue due to the poor connection, but he says goodbye and see you soon. And so, Carles, maybe you want to wrap up the session before we say goodbye?
Yes, very
Thank you to everybody that came.
It has been a pleasure to attend this session that, in fact, has been a sort of teaser of the 3 documentary films that will be presented in 1 year, next year. I think there are 3 aspects that I will remark: the empathy as a method to film with young people, the experimentation and the creativity of the 3 filmmakers, and the reflexivity not only to film, but to think about what filming means, and in an ethnographic context. And this session is a fantastic collection of ideas of how 3 very different filmmakers, and with 3 very different countries, and with 3 very different types of gangs or street groups can share this reflection. So thank you very much to Margot that she has not only organized this session, but he has coordinating. The originality of Transgang is that we don't not only command a film, but there is a researcher, an ethnographic researcher, that follow all the process, and this is very interesting in my opinion. Thank you to Andres, Marcela, Yusuf, and Olatz, that your comments are very precise, and to the 30 people that have attended the session. Now we are only 11 because it's half an hour later, but 30 people, Transgang researchers, but also students of cinema, Jordi Bayo, who is our dean and a specialist on cinema, so a lot of people interested on this reflection. And in 1 year, the premiere of Transgang films will be done, who knows where, but we will meet, hope physically, not only virtually. So thank you very much, and see you the next time.